Let's cross to correspondent Dave Keating in Brussels. Dave, that Wednesday announcement by Brussels that it was going to put a halt to Ukraine importing to neighboring countries where farmers were feeling the pinch appears it's not enough for the likes of Hungary, Poland, and Bulgaria.
Yeah, that's the key question here, because the point of coming up with this compromise this week was to avoid a standoff with these countries who went ahead and imposed their own unilateral bans on the grain imports, which is actually illegal under EU law. That type of trade policy needs to be decided at EU level. So what I'm told the Commission is working on now is some kind of arrangement by which these 4 countries that border Ukraine and are in the EU, plus Bulgaria, which doesn't directly border Ukraine, would be able to ban grain imports until June. The reason it's until June is because that's when this tariff exemption is set to expire. The Commission has proposed to extend it, but I think the idea is that these Eastern EU countries are going to say, look, this isn't working. Let's not extend that tariff exemption any further. The issue is those countries must end their bans right away in order for this to work. The other tricky thing here is that it's only supposed to be a ban for grain that would end up in these countries' markets, but they're supposed to still be allowing grain in for transit onward and then on to the rest of the world through these so-called solidarity lanes. But the details on how exactly they would guarantee that are really murky so far. Would they be under an armed guard as they go through the country? Once grain is imported into the EU single market, there's really no way to tell if it's Ukrainian unless it's really escorted through the countries. That's a very complicated endeavor, and it would make the recipients of any of that grain probably balk at the cost of providing that. So there's a lot of details left here to be ironed out. And in the meantime, it doesn't look like these Eastern EU countries are backing down on their immediate bans.
It's caught Brussels off guard.
It has. I mean, people have known for a while that these solidarity lanes weren't really working. The whole point of these was to alleviate the problem of the grain not being able to leave the Black Sea ports. And so this was the EU's way of providing another route. But the problem is the grain and other agricultural goods just aren't moving. And I think that the quick move by Poland was the first one to enact this ban, did catch the Commission off guard. It should be noted that Poland has an election later this year, and the ruling hard right law and justice party really depends on farmers and the rural vote to stay in power. So there's a lot of politics at play here. There's similar political things going on in Slovakia and Bulgaria. So this is turning into something that's very, very sensitive. And I think the Commission really wants to avoid becoming a pawn in the electoral politics of Poland ahead of that national election later this year. So they're trying to come up with some kind of amicable solution here.
Come up with an amicable solution. Dave Keating, is there a middle ground? It seems as though this Ukrainian grain and oils, whatever, is so much cheaper.
Yeah, I think if they can find some way to get that exclusive passage through the countries and make sure that the grain doesn't seep into the Polish, Slovakian, Romanian, Bulgarian markets, that would be a compromise that would work. The question is, could they actually invent such a thing? And then the other solution, of course, is June is coming pretty quick, so they could just end this tariff exemption, but that would prompt concerns about global hunger if countries, especially in Africa, can no longer get that grain either via the Black Sea route or via the EU route. So there doesn't seem to be any easy answers here.
Dave Keating reporting live from Brussels. Many thanks for that update.